Welcome to another episode of An Echo of Glory. I'm Johnny Blaine. Joining me today is this man.
Well, hello.
Jake Robson.
How'd you do that?
Press this button here. Producer's giving me... Producer. Is he the producer, James? The bloke with a... I'm the producer today.
You're the director.
I can do this as well. Welcome to Ali Tweedale from Opta Analyst. And if I do this... You're all on screen.
Look at that.
Someone's made a comment in the comments, James, and it's really small and I can't read it. You're going to have to make them bigger. That bit I can't do.
You can't get to the bottom line anymore with those glasses on.
Jake and Ali, thank you for joining us. I'm sure you woke up this morning and the first thing you wanted to do was talk about Tottenham Hotspur, but we're not going to do it. We're going to start with something else.
Yeah, good.
Watched the cricket last night?
I watched the very, very beginning of it,
Yeah.
and then turned it off because I thought I can't face any more disappointment.
Right.
But woke up to
No, don't stop.
no.
Stop.
What do you mean?
I thought I was safe on this pod. I've got the highlights waiting for me when I get home. I know roughly what happened. I saw the headlines. I know I watched the first couple of hours.
I was just
Just don't say the score.
I was just going to say better news.
Right, yeah, fine.
Woke up to better news than I'd gone to bed expecting.
Lovely. Me
No
too.
spoilers for any of
Well,
the
I did have a
listeners.
spoiler and I was a bit upset because I was thinking originally I was going to sit at home this morning and watch the highlights.
Are you that cricket mad that you
Yeah, I
would
love it.
watch the highlight and you can avoid the score? Well, that's quite a good topic, actually. Avoiding the score. I remember trying to avoid the score of a random Premier League game that wasn't Tottenham. I think it was a big game when it was like Bolton. It was a big game, even though it was Bolton. I was driving home from wherever I'd been, and Dr. Fox on Capital Gold, of all people, announced the score.
I'd say the hardest thing these days is getting to the highlights without seeing it. So you search for the highlights,
the score comes up,
and it's like,
Yeah.
I'm just making. I'm not saying this is what happened.
Yeah,
England dominate from start to finish,
Yeah.
and you're like, for God's sake.
That's actually very true. On all as we are now an app-based society, on all the apps, they've always got little clips of like the best bit of the day or whatever. When you're looking for the highlights, it's infuriating.
Yeah.
You know, I don't care that kids are watching 20-second clips and want to see the best bits. I want the highlights, and I don't want to be told what happened.
You're how old? 30-something?
Who's asking?
You're like early 30s?
Maybe this is an app idea. People who want to
it's
avoid...
just it was what they used to do.
I know,
my
but
point
you
is
could
you're only
you
like
could get highlights without them saying, without the score, without finding out.
They
the
do.
score.
Yeah, they do.
You're
it
only
a
like
lot.
34 and already you're at the age where they don't cater for you.
Well, I'll tell you what's actually worse. There's a highlight show that I've been watching. I mean, for the cricket, and it's the highlight show. But they tell you at the very top. They do a sort of 3-minute recap chat of
And
what's
then show
happening in
you.
the day, and then show it. I'm like, what's the point of this?
Yeah.
But now I know, so I can fast forward through it.
Look, people have been in our comments. We've already had some comments from listeners, viewers.
Easy, guys.
Why are they
We'll get
talking
there.
about what they?
We'll
talking
get
about
They're
Tottenham?
talking about Spurs. And
Oh,
this
no,
is the
no,
right-
we'll
no,
get
not
there.
today.
Nice.
Not
We'll get
today,
there.
lads. We will get there. Go make yourself a nice cup of tea, cup of coffee. Put on some Christmas songs. That was my next thing. I came in this morning in
Well, look at this.
in a bad mood. Yeah.
Is there one of your angles that? Oh no, we can see it. Yeah, perfect. Look at that.
It's snowing in the studio.
Christmas songs? You having it?
No.
No.
Well, you know what? I like them.
At Christmas.
On
Not in
Christmas,
April.
On Christmas Day.
Right.
Basically, whenever they start coming on the radio, I'm always like, oh, are we already doing this? And that's quite like miserable old man of me, but that's how I feel.
I reckon you
I
love
heard
it.
a couple in the end of November, and I was like, no, it's too early. I'm not that bothered. Not that bothered. But there's a couple of ones that I really like out there.
Go on then.
Elton John, Welcome to My Christmas Store.
I've not heard it.
Yeah, you have.
Have I?
Yeah.
Sing it.
Welcome to
he's
my
doing it.
Christmas.
I've heard it, yeah.
And I just think Elton John's amazing.
Fairy Tale of New York, that sort of opinion divider.
I heard that way too many times. I just think Elton John is like one of the best British male artists ever. Well, he is. His voice is just amazing. I just think he's
He's up
fantastic.
I promise you we will get to Tottenham soon. I got one more thing. One more thing you moaned about before we came on air was you forgot to change your fantasy team. What happened, man?
We can't spend
look, I
too
can
much
press that
time.
button. No,
we
I
can't spend too much time.
I
on
had
fantasy. I can't.
I was working on Tuesday.
Yeah.
and I've completely forgot to. I wasn't going to make any transfers, but I forgot to change up my bench. So Anthony Robinson's
I
on
don't
my
care anymore.
FPL bench. No, and in my draft league this morning, we don't do the FPL one. We do a different one, but it's Premier League, and you can make changes up, and they come into effect on a Friday morning.
You forgot.
I forgot.
I'm going to ask you this question.
And I'm bottom of my league.
Oh, really? That's not good.
Yeah, but I had. You know what? Listen, hear me out on this.
Oh, okay.
You know who my team was at the beginning? We do a draft at the beginning of the season.
Yeah.
I had Eze,
Yeah.
Gordon,
Yeah.
Mateta,
Yeah.
and what have they done this season?
Nothing.
Yeah, brilliant. Thanks for coming. Now off.
I bet people say to you all the time, Ali, because you work for Opta Analyst, you're one of the UK's, the world's genuinely like great in-depth analysts of this beautiful game. People say to you,
Not just this beautiful game.
what do you mean?
It's all sport, loads of sports, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah. Fine.
Stop doing down Opta.
Well, Ali
I thought
specifically.
you were supposed to be friends with him.
People say to you all the time, Ali, I bet you're really good at Fantasy League.
Yeah, they do. And I'm
what's-
not. I'm not. But also, I think I just don't do it anymore because I don't like it, and it all stems from me not being very good. In truth, if I'm honest with myself, but the main thing I don't like about it is people talking about it
Like Jake.
because it's. I mean this in the politest way possible. Your fantasy team isn't interesting to anyone else,
Yeah.
and
I've literally
heard-
just done that.
I've heard people. It was Chelsea Arsenal. It was a 2-2 draw, and it must have been 2018, early in the season, right? And I was in the pub watching it, and I think Hazard scored for Chelsea, and some Arsenal fans sat behind me in the pub were like, oh, well, at least I've got him in my fantasy team. And I was just like, how is that a consolation?
Yeah.
Like, that is just...
People do it.
People do it all the time. And I just like, can you imagine being at Spurs and you see that 19-year-old kid for Bournemouth scoring, sorry, I'm mentioning the game, scoring last night and being like, well, I've got him in my fantasy team.
It happened this season when my son turned to me after Morgan Rogers scored and we both went, there's not a lot you can do about it. It's happened, right? I wasn't cheering.
Yeah, we won anyway.
Did we? We won a football? No. All right. We put it off enough. Should we talk about it?
We lasted quite a long time without going there.
Yeah, it was about 11 minutes. Which was
first good thing fantasy football chat's ever done.
11 minutes, which was about how long as good we were long, whatever I'm trying to say, about as long as we were good for.
Why don't we start with some of the comments?
No, I'm going to do a little bit of club news first. There's only a very, very tiny bit of club news, is that the under-21s lost, I think, 3-0 at Sutton in the EFL Trophy. So that was it. I'm going to read the team out first and then we'll come to some comments. The team was Fraser Forster in goal, big phrase, Gray at right back, Dragusin, Davies and Udogie. So Pedro Porro got a rest for the first time in the league this season. Udogie now the only player to start every game for us in the league. Sarr, Bissouma, Maddison, Kulusevski back in, Solanke back in, Brennan Johnson on the left. Thoughts and observations?
Well, I was glad that Porro was getting a rest. I was glad to see Archie Gray playing. Because
You don't think maybe it should have been Jed Spence?
Yeah, perhaps.
But yes, I agree that Porro, as Sydney Spur, one of our regular listeners, said, our fullbacks are going to be 3 inches shorter soon. They're just being run into the ground.
Yeah,
so he needed a rest.
I personally would really like to see. I would like to see Jed Spence have got more minutes in the Premier League. You know, why not give him 20 minutes at the end? You know, of games. But putting that aside, because that's not happening.
Yeah.
I was more than happy to see Archie Gray in the side. I'd love to see him in midfield. To be honest,
he'd love to see himself in midfield.
He'd love to see himself. But the one thing I would say in the way Ange he spent a lot of his time in the game in quite central. So actually, if you're going to play fullback, at least do it in this team if you're a midfielder, I think.
Well, yeah, but the argument is this inverted stuff not working. Ali, team?
Yeah, I agree with everything you're saying. I guess I just have some frustrations that we are at the point where the fullbacks are both that this hasn't happened earlier. That like there's been plenty of opportunities. I mean, don't get me started on Spence not being in the Europa League squad, for example. But like being at this point in the season where we're about to go into such a heavy run of games, and we are having to, and neither of them have had a rest until this point. And obviously, it's going to have to be time for a doggy to get a rest at some point.
And we don't have a left back.
We don't have a left back.
Reguilon is the only cover.
Exactly, which is madness.
I suspect he might play against Rangers.
Yeah.
Oh no, he's not in the squad.
Not in the squad.
Not in the squad.
Well, like, yeah, it's just
play Spence instead.
It's just,
I know.
it's just crazy. And there aren't like enough opportunities in the Premier League to rest them, and to have to do it when we've already got neither of the first choice centre backs. So, and the first choice goalie's not playing. You suddenly have one of your first choice back five playing rather than two, which is like a bit of a difference. And so I do want to see more of Gray, but I've wanted to see more of Gray for months until now. And
But in midfield?
Yeah, like just in general.
I was also a bit disappointed. I don't know why didn't Son start?
Managing his minutes, clearly. Yeah.
But I was okay with that when I saw it in hindsight. It was definitely an error. Like Johnson's too limited in terms of his one-footedness. I think, to play
so if you're gonna rotate on that side, again, another player who divides opinion. Should Werner not be starting on the left?
Yeah,
I think so as well. It's not. He's a right winger. I mean, just why do you just pump him on the left? Like it just doesn't.
He definitely didn't do more than Werner would have done in that on that left side.
And also,
Johnson's definitely better than Werner. If you were to just say, "Oh, I need one of them in our squad," there's no question. But I just think if you're going to play, if you need a left-sided player, just put a left-sided player there.
But I also think as I've said before, I think you lose what Kulusevski's been really good at this season. I think you lose a bit of that by putting him on the right. So I still would have had Johnson right, Werner left, if you don't want to play Son, and I would have put Kulu through the middle and probably had Maddison on the bench again.
Yeah, or Sarr.
Or Sarr. Yeah, I mean one of them. Yeah.
I agree.
You wanted to get to some of the comments. Someone's mentioned that they're.
Well, I like that somebody said that Elton John's a North Londoner or something.
He's from Watford. It's Hertfordshire, really. No, he's from Pinner, which is Hertfordshire, isn't it?
Is it?
Don't know.
Buckinghamshire.
We'll have him.
No, Pinner's not in Buckinghamshire.
No.
Actually, really?
Isn't it?
I know. Thankfully, we're moving away from talking about.
It's not in Hertfordshire. I'm not having that.
Oh, it's the London Borough of Harrow.
Oh, there you go.
Northwest London. Whatever. Someone did also mention needs to get himself a name. 5678 and then a load of letters. Was disappointed that Gary wasn't in because he wanted a rant. Well, I'm teeing myself up for a rant.
See, what did he say?
It's further up.
Can you not scroll?
James doesn't give me the mouse.
Okay.
That he's disappointed that Gary wasn't. He needed some Gary rant therapy. So Ali, do it.
Well, Gary didn't. Gary, yeah.
No, we'll hold it.
I don't think I have a Gary rant in me.
No.
I would say I think after last night, I think I'm at my lowest ebb in terms of my patience with the Postecoglou project. I think I still think it would be madness to like just scrap everything and start again, and you need to just give these things. You need to just.
How much time do you need to give it, Ali? Can I ask?
I think you need to go at least this season. I'd say. I'm
not saying we're not getting relegated, but like December's a very long month. It's 31 days, but in terms of the number of fixtures, it's a very long month.
Tottenham are so inconsistent that
don't say it. We're not beating Chelsea.
They're never going to do anything in the league this season.
Yeah,
but were we ever?
Well, exactly. Possibly not. And so, top 4 is like the absolute maximum possibility.
Yeah,
and really, all I ever wanted from this season was I want to win a cup, and there is still that chance. And Tottenham have it in them to produce performances that can beat anyone, and for that reason, there is a chance that this team can win a cup this season. And so I think that for that reason, you just have to go with keep things as they are this season. If we're out of all the cups by February, then I'd be like, that's it.
I think
I'm almost at a point where you're sort of considering what is the earliest stage in the season that it's acceptable to start resting players in the league for the cups. And like the cups are the priority now.
that's very sad. It's December. Jake, you say...
But Cup's the priority over what?
Coming in the top 7 or like getting top 4.
But wasn't that all? But what you're saying is that was always your priority for this season.
Yeah.
So it's not now.
You can have both.
Yeah. Well, until now I wanted both. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Now, and now I've kind of sort of after Ipswich and then after Fulham and then now this, it's kind of like you can't have those results and get in the top 4.
Top 4, yeah, 100%, 100%.
We'll talk a little bit about the game, but I think most people are fed up with the game and we didn't play well and that's kind of it. The talk more is around what's going on. Dean S on our comments here. It's a myth that we would be starting again. Bring in an attacking manager who doesn't do a 360 on the way we play. We'll only be starting again if we bring in the complete opposite of Ange. I want to pick up on that point because we made this point on the pod last week. I put out a tweet. All our defeats this season have been by a single goal. Every league defeat has been by a single goal. Every win has been by 2 goals or more. We want attacking football, but at the same time, we want to win 1-0, 2-1, go to Bournemouth and get a draw. We don't draw football matches.
We were literally doing this under Conte. We were literally doing this. This is when we were
doing what?
Going to wherever and winning 1-0. I don't want to see us win 1-0.
Yeah, but everyone was saying. You want like a happy medium.
I know. Which we're not
is
getting. It's gone too far the other way. But
correct.
Literally, this is what people were complaining about. They didn't want to see us win boring 1-0.
I also agree. I don't think. Well, I think there are not any managers necessarily available. Like if Ange went tomorrow, I would actually love. I've talked about Iraola before. I think he's a really good manager. I wouldn't want us to go and get him out of Bournemouth. I don't think that's right, and I don't think he'd come. I think he might come in. Someone like that would come in the summer where you go, okay, I'm going to pick up these pieces and deal with it. I've had my season. I'm going to leave. No one's leaving a club to come to Tottenham right now in the mess that we're in. So the only
I don't agree with that.
You don't?
No. Tottenham have a pull that you can't.
But I don't think someone like Iraola will disrespect Bournemouth and leave to come right.
I don't think that's not a conversation that we need to have. Like whether manage.
I don't think we're getting many managers out of their clubs.
But it's not really.
Yeah, but are we? I don't think. Are you at the point of?
No,
at the point that we'd get rid of?
No, because I'd like him to change it.
Right.
I get a feeling last night might have been the penny drop moment for Ange. We're so short of players. Again, I said last week, I think that's partly down to him. And I'm doing this thing on Twitter every week. Today's injury is ... And today's injury was last night's injury was Ben Davies. It's another hamstring. When Davies got booked in the first 3 minutes, he'd been on the edge of their area. I don't think from a set piece, he'd gone up with the attack and was on the edge of the area. And he's running back. And he's asking far too much of these players. He did it at Celtic. He's admitted it at Celtic. He tries them too hard. We get hamstring injuries. Partly, I think we're working too hard. We press the most in the league, but is that actually working? We're pressing too much. You've got to press in the right areas. So I've said before, I think injuries are partly down to the coaching.
Maybe, but we're not the only side that has lots of injuries.
There's loads of injuries. There's too much football. We know that.
I think.
But then you can't just throw that away, that comment away.
But I'm not.
We're just one of the other teams that's got loads of injuries.
But we're getting a lot of 6 to 8 week hamstring injuries. And Ange just said at Celtic when Kyoto who got injured and the fans were fed up with it because he'd been injured twice. He came out and said, "It's my training methods. I've had problems with this before, but it's happening again." Let's not get bogged down in. Go on.
I think the problem is, and after Davies' injury last night, Ange said, we've had to rely on Davies and Dragusin every game. That's just where we're at. That's the situation we're in with the squad we've got. And the frustrating thing for me is that's a situation of your own making. Like if we had fullbacks who could be rested or backup players, I don't know. There's just we've obviously lost Romero and
Van der Ven,
but then otherwise there's just been no space to rotate because he doesn't trust Spence. He doesn't want to play Gray, clearly. Last night was the first time he started in the Premier League. And then that's it. So you're going to get an injury. And then to say, well, it's just where we're at with the squad we've got, that's a squad planning issue from the start of the season that was so obvious when you didn't put Spence in the Europa League squad and you don't have a backup at either side at fullback that you trust.
I think the squad comes into a wider conversation on a pretty poor summer, which I don't think is just down to him. I think the club at the moment, obviously, when we lose,
I don't think these days anymore you can even say it's just down to him. I wonder now how many managers, what percentage of the sort of, when you've got the signing of players, how much of that is for the manager? What percentage of a player signing is the manager?
Yeah,
anymore.
I don't know. When you're a head coach, I think you possibly have less say in the matter. I think that sometimes that tweak was who went from head coach, who went from manager to head coach. Was it Arteta as well?
Maybe. Yeah.
Sometimes means we're going to buy a Poch as well. We're going to buy these players for you. You don't really have much of a say. You coach the team, and we'll do the rest. Which is why you have a Mana, Langer. Those guys are doing it for you. They're involved in the conversation.
For sure, yeah.
But ultimately, he could turn around and go, I want 2 more left backs. And they're just going to go, no, sorry, we don't have the money.
Fair.
But the whole planning from all of it is wrong from top to bottom. And when we lose, the chairman gets, I mean, you can't go on Twitter without it being about the chairman. I get it. It's not a good situation coming from the top. We pay extortionate amount of money for our tickets, and we don't think we're getting a great stadium. We don't think we're getting the product that we deserve. You know, Kane and Conte, they're like Tottenham Stadium. That's the direction. Conte didn't work, but that's the kind of thing. You know, Conte would say, I click my fingers normally at every club and I get the player I want. He's not getting that at Tottenham. So unfortunately, we're pointed to finishing like 5th, 6th, 7th, and that's where we really should be finishing. But right now, 10th. I know we're 5 points from 5th.
Well, no, but we're also not finishing 10th at this point.
We've got 60 points from our last 42 Premier League games.
Yeah, it's not great.
I think the squad is decimated by injuries. I've said I think the manager has something to do with that. But I also think it's better than 60 points from 42 games. We've gone to City and won 4-0. We've beaten United 3-0. We're great when the wind is behind us, but we come up against well-drilled Bournemouth, Leicester, well, not so much Leicester, Bournemouth, Fulham, Ipswich, Palace. Not great sides, well-drilled, and we have a problem.
I think part of this ties into the transfer strategy. Like Spurs have to buy younger because they can't go out and buy a full first team of superstars. So we buy younger players and try to develop them. Totally get that. The part of what you lose when you get rid of Dyer, Højbjerg, Kane and Lloris in the space of not very long at all is you lose like a lot of leadership, and like that they weren't perfect, those players by any means, but they were like the kind of people who drive standards. And the current Tottenham team is technically very good and has lots of threat, and when they've got the wind behind them at the Tottenham Stadium and the fans behind them, and the stadium definitely needs like something to feed off. It doesn't, like, as soon as Spurs got a goal in early against City, the whole stadium got behind them. It was just like, there's no stopping us now kind of feeling. And once you get that equaliser against West Ham and Villa and Brentford, it all kind of has that same feeling. But when they're up against it and it's up to them to like sort of pull together, there's not like there are leaders in terms of like Maddison and Son and Romero are like the leaders of the squad, but they're not like proper characters, I don't think. And I don't think that they are the like quite at the level of
leadership,
sort of more experienced pros that would like just sort of
get you out of that hole.
And you don't, and even if they are, there aren't enough of them in the squad. Like there maybe needs to be a few like louder voices, louder characters coming in. Like
Højbjerg's a great example because he divided opinion with his ability, but we definitely lost a a leader, an experienced head in there. He may not be the best player. Basuma, Bentancur, Sarr may be better players for this system, but what is the system if it hasn't got leadership?
Yeah,
and
also I'm not even sure. I still think Gary. I think I always think of Gary's point where he said Højbjerg had to be moved on because Højbjerg wanted more of an involvement than he was getting. Because I always stand by that. He could play in this team. We saw towards the end of last season, actually his range of passing improved, whether he worked on it or not. He wasn't he wasn't as mobile. He couldn't get around the pitch, obviously, as well as someone like Sarr, which is a bit of a problem. But I always felt there was at least a role as a substitute in this squad for him. But he didn't. He wanted more than that, so he had to go.
I'm not saying that what Spurs need right now is I think he should have left. All I mean is, like, it's one thing buying young, talented footballers, but like in those tough moments, are there enough characters who are going to like know what it takes to? I sound very like I'm going quite proper football man here, but like I think there's something psychological lacking from the squad in that sense.
Is that down? Right. So where are you on the ranting on ownership? And do you think this is column A, column B, column C? It's all of it together. This is where we are.
Well, maybe it's something that like the squad will get with time. I don't know. And maybe you just need patience with that. But like, I didn't feel like there were players out there really angry at what was going on yesterday and making sure that others knew it and they had to like step up kind of thing.
I think our ceiling with this team right now is like 4th or 5th, and 5th might get you into the Champions League. And people want more than that, and that's down to the owners to push on there. I just think right now, I sound like a broken record. I say this every week, and I can add Bournemouth to this list now. We've got 2 points from Bournemouth, Leicester, Ipswich, Palace, Fulham. That is not good enough. And I think the players and the squad are better than that. And right now, I think it's badly coached. Let's just briefly touch on the game. I actually thought we started quite well. Ange said it in his post-match. Thought Maddison started the game really well. Solanke had that chance, which I think was a really poor finish. I think for some reason, he was 7 yards out and put his boot through it far too much. Who am I to tell a Premier League striker who scored 19 goals last season how to finish? Thought it was a really, really poor finish. And after that, what did we really do? Kulusevski had a chance on his weaker foot.
He had that cross that I thought Ben Davies bottled.
Oh, in the second half?
Yeah.
Yeah, that was weird. That was closer to Davies than I thought.
I think he thought, I'm going to get punched by the keeper, Kepa, at this point. And so he just kind of pulled out a little bit. And then as soon as he did it, he was like, why have I done that? It's the kind of thing I would do. I would be like, I'm going to jump here and make it look like I'm trying, but I don't want to risk getting punched in the face, so I'm not actually going to go for it.
Got a hamstring injury instead.
Got an early bath instead.
I actually thought there was a lot of everyone's WhatsApp, Twitter was hot last night when we were losing, and we were all talking, myself included, at times that we'd already lost. I actually felt we were going to get back in this game, but then after about 70 minutes, Bournemouth, tell me about their XG, Ali, because they had so many chances and we just looked out on our feet.
So Bournemouth got 3.71 XG last night.
To something 0.5 or something? Don't go on, just stick with Bournemouth.
It was 0.7, I think.
0.87. Bournemouth's was, so non-penalty XG, that is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 5th highest in the Premier League this season. And the teams that concede that many chances, I'm just going to list off the teams that have conceded that many that quantity of quality chances this season. Southampton, Leicester, Man United against Spurs when they were down to 10 men for half the game, Ipswich, Spurs, Brentford, Wolves, Brighton, Ipswich, Leicester, West Ham, Southampton. And then you get Man City, but then it's Leicester, Southampton, Ipswich, Brentford. Man City did that away to Liverpool. Good teams just don't concede that many chances to a team like Bournemouth. And Bournemouth are good. They're okay.
Yep.
Like they've beaten Arsenal and Man City at home this season. So there isn't really that much shame in losing to them. Arsenal had 10 men in their game. City were all sorts.
It was the start of their chaos, wasn't it?
Yeah, exactly. But that is the chances they created worth about 4 goals. They should have won that game 4-0, basically, is what the data is saying, or 4-1 maybe. Spurs should have scored 1. But just to like get battered by them is just like, it's just a really,
worrying,
really,
isn't it?
Yeah, it's really bad.
Jake, you're I sort of deride you for being Mr. Positive, and no one should tell you how to
We
support
need
your
it.
football club. We
I
need
need
it.
it.
But there's a lot of, but we beat City 4-0 going on social media. You know, a broken clock is right twice a day. For me, but for me, that result, it's fine to win 4-0 at City. They were chaotic, and they showed it 3 days later when they gave up a 3-0 lead at home to Feyenoord, the fourth best team in Holland. Winning 4-0 at City is great. Also proves to me, I think that the players are actually quite good. I think we found City at the right moment. Yeah, we've won at United, bashed up Villa, bashed up West Ham. Most of those games with the win behind us at home, when we've caught fire in the second half. Talk to me, because you're far more positive than me.
Already, the way it's like you're throwing away the wins. It's like, but you're finding reasons as to why the other team were beaten by us, rather than why we were actually winning those games, which is already like. I mean, then you're just never gonna.
But when we're good, we're very, very good.
Right, and we've been very good in that second half against Villa. We were very good. The whole game against City, we were very good. United had 10 men, so that does come with a caveat.
Spurs were brilliant.
But we were brilliant. Yeah. So this is what I'm saying. So it's not we beat City because they were in a bad moment.
Well, it helped.
Yeah,
you're still going to win 4-0.
It helped that we're in a bad moment for Bournemouth to beat us. So, and also, as you said, losing away at Bournemouth, because you place I don't think you can place the Bournemouth defeat with the Leicester and the what were the other ones? Ipswich and Palace, because Bournemouth have beaten Arsenal, okay, with 10 men, that I will give you, but they beat City at home fair and square. I don't care. It was the start of their run. They beat them. They beat them badly, actually. They were 2-0 up against Man City.
I guess my point was the manner of it.
Yeah, but fine. So I think you have to say, well, we've won. We played very well in the games that we've won, not look at the reasons, the other teams have been bad. We've played badly in a couple of games this season. I don't think we were that bad in the Fulham game. Fulham are a good side as well. They came to us. I think it was all right. I think the Palace one, I will 100%. The Palace and the Ipswich ones were bad. Yeah. They were very bad.
Yeah.
And we're 10th at the moment. It's not a good look. It's a bad look. I can't say anything else. But I think that after a few poor performances, I think the expectation or they're very short memories, and people forget exactly what they wanted at the beginning of the season. Are we going to challenge for the league this season? No.
Well, Ange said we would, by the way.
Well, anyone that believed that is just, an idiot.
Don't say that.
Were we going to finish second? No. Were we going to finish third this season? No.
Why no?
Because Liverpool and Man City.
Liverpool could have been anything.
Beginning of the season. I'm talking about beginning of the season. Liverpool could have been anything. Man City. Sorry, not Liverpool. Man City, Arsenal. You had as your top two in either order.
Correct. I think third would have been up for grabs at that point. I think we all would have said it.
Potentially. You had Chelsea and Liverpool could have been anything, but could have been anything. Could have been really good or really bad. It turns out they've been really good. United, I never had in the picture. So. At best, we will. Oh, and Villa. No, Villa weren't going to be anything. Villa were going to be good this season.
Yep.
So we were all. So to finish ahead of Villa, we were going to do really well. We weren't going to finish ahead of City and Arsenal. So then you're looking at fourth. Maybe we'll finish fourth.
Nah.
No. At the beginning of the season, maybe we'll finish fourth. Okay. So now it looks like we won't finish fourth. But does that mean that we've had a bad season if we finish fifth or sixth in the league this season?
No, if we finish fifth or sixth.
No, I think from here as well. Jesus.
Really,
yeah, but I just think
that was always the expectation.
Right? In the way that Liverpool have been really good this season, are they going to be really good for the whole season? Maybe, but I would be very surprised.
Probably not.
Like they've lost one game. Was it against Forest at home? They're going to have a bad run. Are City going to be this bad for the rest of the season? I don't care what everyone's saying. This is end of days for City. I'm not having it. City will turn it around. Just as bad as they've been, they could easily go on a 10-game. And I know we're not going to go on a 10-game winning run, but I just think that over the course of the whole season, I think these things iron themselves out, and we may end up finishing 6th or 7th this season. But we also may end up going in and having a good cup run. I don't know. I still
not sure a good cup run cuts it though.
Sorry, we may win one of the cups we're in.
We may.
I think I just think that to look at to kind of write the season off.
No,
but it's like not you. But I'm just saying it feels like it's over. It feels like it's over. But is it over?
Of course it's not.
No, I know. But I'm not saying you guys are saying this. But this is the impression that you're getting on social media, and people have had enough. And we can talk. We saw at the end of the game. the away fans that go to the game. Okay, on the one hand, yes, the away fans make the effort. They pay the money. They travel. They go home and away to watch the team.
Over land and sea.
Over land and sea and Leicester.
Leicester.
And they can they should, as a result, be able to voice whatever opinion they have. And I do agree with that. But at the same time, booing the manager when he's coming over at the end of the game.
Can I come back to that?
That's
I do want to come. I definitely want to talk about that.
When?
Just in a minute.
Okay.
I promise you.
Let's read some.
I am going to read some messages. Like I said, if you're listening to us on Spotify, we get it's a YouTube channel as well, and we get these comments on our live shows. Billy Four Eyes, who I think last week was saying after we'd beaten City and drawn with Roma and Fulham, he was saying we're unbeaten in 3. I think I'm glass half full at the moment. Well, Billy now he's saying his glass is 10% empty. I think that will definitely come down. I mean,
Billy wants a top up,
and he might get it against Chelsea, and we'll be 90% full, and we all will be. Question from Ross Hughes. Is everyone here happy? We've had this question before, really, but we'll do it again. Is everyone here happy with 7th and a League Cup win?
Yeah.
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 I'd be delighted.
Yeah.
Yeah. Fine.
7th's still Europe next season, isn't it?
It should be.
No, but
Yeah.
your League Cup gets you into
It gets you into the Conference League.
Oh, is it that?
Yeah,
now?
it's dropped down to that.
Oh.
Yeah.
I mean, to be honest,
Yeah, it's fine.
when I saw West Ham win the Conference League, I was kind of like deriding them all season. Then I saw them win the Conference League, and I was like, I'd take that. I'd be happy with that.
Yeah, and also if you get in the Conference League, we can just not you can just rest
Jed Spence
Solanke
could
from
get
the
in the
squad.
squad.
Yeah. Ryan, you can still buy young Premier League proven players. Neto, Eze, Ait Nouri. Those are players who still have room to develop. Yes, they are, but these aren't the kind of players. When you talk about young players, the players that we've signed, we haven't signed the likes of Lucas Berval and Archie Gray. We haven't signed them. We've signed them because they're young, but the point is that they're not. Pedro Neto's good. What did Pedro Neto cost Chelsea?
A lot of money.
Eze would cost 80 million.
Palace wanted 870 for Mark Gahey. They weren't going to let Eze leave for anything less than that. I agree with you. It would have been nice to sign a couple of those players. But once we'd signed Solanke, there's no way we were spending another 70 on another.
Those are unrealistic.
And also Neto, as I said before, once Chelsea come in for him and offer him an 8-year deal,
you said that before.
Yeah, no one can compete with that.
Someone made a point. Paul O'Keefe, who's obviously very popular on Twitter and has a great connections. He knows what's going on, and his opinions are spot on a lot of the time. But I actually disagreed with him this morning, where he said, we're signing from, I can't remember the list of teams, but Leeds, Mets, and another team, and he was using it as a stick to beat the club with. I think where are Fulham signing their players? Where are Bournemouth signing their players?
Arsenal.
You're right. Fulham's slightly different. They are signing players from Arsenal.
Brighton?
Where are Brighton signing their players from? Where are Ipswich signing their players from? Brentford, Brighton. I think I just said Brighton. I don't want to be these clubs, but there is talent out there. And I'm starting to wonder when I look at Ange, and people know I'm not a fan of Ange, whether the gap is bigger in coaching than it actually is in players. There are a lot of good players out there, and if you sign them and you coach them properly, you will be okay. See Brighton. You work in football data, so do I, Ali. Brighton are signing players, and I'm going, who? And my guy at work said, this Vifa, he's going to be fat. And I'm like, who is he? And he may or not be great, but he's come in, looks good, straight in, fits the system. I know they lost yesterday, but they're Brighton. They're going to be up and down. I think talent is out there, and I think you can sign players. We're never going to go and buy, unfortunately, like you said, we're not going to drop £80 million on Pedro Neto because we can't. I get that. We're not going to go out and sign Ronaldo, but I just think maybe Ange is the wrong guy for the project. If the project
Which
is
Ronaldo were you talking about?
I think
I was going to sign a Ronaldo.
Briefly off air, I mentioned Paratici and maybe how he's a bit of a loss, and he would pick up the phone and go, "I want Kulusevski and Bentancur, guys who've won the Scudetto and played 200 times for Juventus." We might have lost a little bit of that in Langer and Munn. Maybe the project is different, so maybe Ange is the wrong person for the project. Right now, it's a melting pot of just so much wrong, but ultimately, it's a results business, and it comes down to him. And I want to talk about him booing, the fans booing him. He went over there yesterday, and as he's walking over, he's like, "Okay, I'm in trouble here. I'm getting." But I think he starts. Some people have taken me is to say, "You come out here and fight me." That's not what happened. That's not what happened.
That's Roy Keane does that. Ange ain't no Roy Keane.
I think Ange was saying, "This is on me.
Yeah.
This is on me, guys." So I'm wondering if the penny has dropped. Now the penny's dropped. He's still buggered because we haven't got any players. They're all injured. If he wants to tweak it at the moment, he probably can't. So we're going to have to ride this out. And when he gets his players back, probably in January till we're fully fit again. But like you said, Jake, the fans, they feel it. Those fans who travel home and away, we all feel it, wake up in the morning still annoyed about it.
Some of them have to do it in Bournemouth.
Some of them have to, there's no trains, it's cold,
That was mental.
it's wet.
The message from Spurs the day before the game.
Yeah.
Oh, there are no trains after the game back. What?
Look, no one can go, don't call him. The abuse to him was absolutely over the top. The booing, do you know something? If you want to boo, boo. It's your right. If you want to get out, if you want to go to cinema and you don't like it, the film, you get up, you walk out.
Yeah, I think booing is fine because booing, you can boo anything, exactly. And it shows it's a signal of like discontent that you're unhappy.
Yeah, it's like the old...
It's literally, yeah. And you can boo and it's kind of like, it's still got that kind of wall of like, we're unhappy and that's all you need to know. The booing is all you need.
The abuse is not.
But yeah, I mean, you know, Postanoglu and stuff like that. It's like just have. Yeah, that was one of the ones I saw on Twitter. Like, you know, just come on. Like, I don't care what anyone says. The guy's won how many league titles? I heard last night. Has he won 7 league titles or 7 trophies? Maybe I can't remember.
You're winning the title with Celtic.
Yeah, but whatever. But so you agree then? You're part of this.
What?
Like anyone can
I'm
win.
part of the problem.
No, but anyone can win these league titles.
They
It's
can.
like, yeah, but can they?
He's not a nobody. He's not clueless.
Yeah,
He's like,
I'm pulling your plonker, but he's up against something he's never been up against
The
before.
abuse to offer him like it's not personal abuse at the end of the game.
Awful.
No, I'm not having it.
Awful.
And the other thing is, you glossed over, you know, wait till the injuries come back. I don't think this is part of the problem. Okay, you can say that maybe these injuries are because of Ange, but I don't think, whether you say that or not, whether you believe that or not is up to you. And we don't really know if that's true. But what we do know is true is that there are a lot of injuries. And as you said, by the time we got to the end of that game yesterday, the players looked absolutely knackered. So, and I'm not saying that, you know, we shouldn't go to Bournemouth and try and be better than that. But there is a mitigation at this point. We have a lot of injuries. And I don't think people are going, oh, we lost again. We've got a lot of injuries. People are going, we've lost again. We're crap. This is bad. But what about the actual looking at why this is happening?
We lost to Ipswich with pretty much a fully fit squad.
Yeah.
It's also
but that fine. But what about I'm talking about last night? We've just said it. Who's coming off the bench? We've had to rest Porro finally. Who's coming off the bench to save that game? Yeah.
First team players were coming off the bench.
But who's starting that game? Who's got us to that point at the first 60 minutes? Davies, who's now injured. Dragusin and Davies is a new pairing. We've had to play Archie Gray at right back. We've got Fraser Forster, and as you said, we've got one of our back five is actually playing there. We've had to play Johnson on the left. Kulusevski's now playing out of position now on the right. So we've got makeshift wingers effectively. We've got Solanke playing through the middle. Okay, the midfield 3, they didn't have a very good game last night. But that team, that starting 11 was a mess.
I don't think
so.
No?
I don't think so.
No. I don't think so at all.
And it was a mess because of the injuries.
I think it was good enough to just not be so wholly like it was.
I agree. It was fine. And you look at that team and you look at Bournemouth's team and you think, Spurs have the better.
Bournemouth have been good at home this season.
I'm saying, as I said before, losing to Bournemouth, there's no shame in that. Like
Ryan has said this,
but for it to be as extreme as it was,
it's the way we lose.
Well, last night, the way we lost last night, like it was so bad, and the number of chances that Bournemouth got, and Spurs had one from minute 12 onwards or something like that.
We've won some very good wins, but basically people are saying we haven't lost honourably enough. We haven't had any honourable.
We've got a problem.
We haven't had any honourable defeats so far this season.
We've got a big problem in the comments because not only has 5, 6, 7, 8 with all the lots of letters said stop happy clapping and admit we played badly. He's called you Jake too.
Number 1, Jake 1 over here, mate. Just so you know, Jake 2 is the other Jake. Yes, we did play shite. I'm not happy clapping. We played shite, but I'm just offering some I don't think enough fans go, but why did we play shite? That's the point here.
Okay.
Let's look at why we played badly. Sometimes it's not always just about, oh, we're awful, we're going to finish 10th. It's like, well, why don't we look at the situation? maybe when we get some players back and things could end up turning around.
I guess just we are not hard to beat.
Correct. But with a
in
back five like that.
And in a game, well, exactly.
I think actually we've defended pretty well with this makeshift back five, to be honest.
And
not last night, though.
Not last night.
But in a game like that, with the back five that there was, like, just be a bit more difficult to play against. Like, there's no one in there that's like horrible to play against. There's teams don't sort of come up against Spurs and think, well, we don't know when we're going to get a good opportunity. If you miss one, it's not like, well, that's like the good chance gone, because there's going to be another one. Like, they just need to be a bit more difficult. And like the whole, like, what was it exactly? Did he say, I don't like pragmatism? Yeah. Something along those lines.
Well, this ties in, Ali, with could we win 1-0? Ollie said it last week against Fulham. You know, if we're 1-0 up and Forster comes out and catches the ball, the whole crowd goes, "Yeah, we've been there." They've defended heads it away, and it's like it's almost as good as a goal. Just win by a single goal would be nice.
The goal conceded last night was awful as well. And like you get. I mean, talking about the Davies one being like something I would do, the Udogie one is exactly what I would do. Pretend like jump so early that you can't get it, because if you backpedal and have to do one of those flick-ons, you might get smashed from behind. I play football at a very, 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 very low level, and I would just do that and then be like, whose man was that behind me? Because I don't want to get smashed like that. That's the kind of footballer I am. I'm not like someone who's going to fly into challenges. I'm like worried about getting smashed. And that's kind of what Udogie looked like. He looked like he didn't really want to make sure he won that. That flick on.
I think the most worrying thing about, or disappointing thing from last night for me, was the amount of Bournemouth did not play very wide. They actually, a lot of their chances came through, not directly through the middle, but that's either right or left channel. They were getting in behind or getting through. So we've got a midfield three that they've bypassed, and then that's the bit that I couldn't quite understand.
The bypassing is very worrying.
Of the midfield.
You win the ball back from Tottenham, and I said it earlier on this season, I can't remember who it was against. You are 2 passes away from a chance. And you can start the ball on the edge of your area, by the way. At that point, you are very swiftly in on Tottenham.
This is why I'd like to see Gray play more, given a go in the 6, because there was a couple of times.
We need a proper 6.
A couple of times last night where there was one where he was out of position. I think it was in the first half. He was out of position. He got back into position, and he was 1-on-1 with somebody just outside the area, and they tried to play the ball past, and he did a sort of half scorpion and managed to stop the ball going. And I was thinking, wow, that's really good.
Did a lot of that for Leeds,
right? So maybe he could be.
Well, we are one game away from it maybe happening, because Bassoon was on 4. Bassoon was on 4 yellows. I was going to mention
and Chelsea at home.
Van der Ven's on 4 and Bassoon was on 4, so they're 2 walking the tightrope. So, and Bentancur. So when he comes back, he'll be getting another game.
Just going to drop a stat in on that
Why
stuff
you're here,
about
mate. It's not the only reason you're here.
Getting down the sides. And I know 2 of these will have been corners. Certainly Arsenal and Bournemouth scored from corners, but. So only Wolves and Everton have conceded more goals from crosses than Spurs.
Yeah, we used that last night.
Which, I mean, though corners are a very specific situation and something that have been talked about as being a weakness for Spurs in general. I think Spurs have been good, much better at corners than they were last season. But in general, there seems to be a problem with dealing with balls into the box.
We conceded 9 from corners last year, and it's 3 this year, which we're a third way through the season. Average
6 already, 5 already this season.
From crosses,
open play.
Yeah, from corners it's 3 and was 9 last season.
I see.
There's definitely been an improvement, but it's still not good enough. The other thing is at the other end. We don't seem...
Yeah, those low balls across the box.
But even corners, it's like when we were, you talk about playing football at a low level. It's like when you turn up on a Sunday morning and your warm-up would be like crosses and headers. Well, I'll take some corners and you head it in. We're just like crossing it. Anyway, I'm going to move away. I'm going to move away from last night a little bit, because we've got another game coming up. I couldn't find a Chelsea guest. I asked so many people, and they not refused to come on. They must be running scared, or they've got too big for their boots. I don't know. Some told me they were too busy. What are you going to do? Didn't want to talk to them anyway. So we're not going to talk to a Chelsea. I would like to. They're quite an interesting story, because they were singing on Tuesday night at Southampton. We've got our Chelsea back.
Didn't take long, did it?
Well, no, it didn't take long. It took a lot of money.
Took a lot of money.
And we all laughed at, think, oh, they're going to go bust in 6 months' time. They ain't going bust. And it shows.
Who the hell thought that?
Jackson was on 4 yellows. Neto was on 4 yellows. They sat on the bench Tuesday night. Didn't come on. They'll start at the weekend. Certainly Jackson will come back in. They can rest Palmer and whoever else from their Conference League team. They'll walk to a trophy that if they don't win that trophy, one of the biggest sporting failures of all time. I think if they don't win that tournament, they were singing, we've got our Chelsea back, and they've pumped a load of money into the squad, and that's what will happen if you have a proper squad. They are going to be a really, really, really tough opponent, and it could go. Someone said in one of the comments earlier, how Spurs would it be for us to beat Chelsea on Sunday? Yeah,
I think this is part of the problem for emotional fans, maybe like us rather than Jake, is that this Tottenham team, there's so much hope every single game. Like, you come off the back of a disappointing draw to Fulham where they get outplayed, a loss at Bournemouth where they get completely outplayed, and no one is saying that Spurs are definitely going to lose on Sunday. Like, I think like there's every chance that Spurs could produce a performance that it's probably about 50-50.
Do you think?
Maybe that's
what's
generous,
the Opta supercomputer saying? Big Bertha.
Give me a minute.
Do we need one of the centre halves back?
Romero. Are we going to get them back?
I think Romero. I think he might have to rush Romero in.
I think Romero is going to be back. And actually, the last time I was on,
when was that? 2019.
2019. We said, I was asking, who would we like to see partner Romero? Do we want to see the left-footed Davies? Or he's now going to be injured, so it's going to be Dragoshin. But it would have been interesting, I think. I don't think we could. Could you say for sure who he would have played alongside Romero? I don't know.
No, I agree with you, but I think it would have had to be Dragoshin, because if Dragoshin falls to fourth in the pecking order behind Ben Davies, he would just be like, I'm out of here. I'm not.
His agent would be on the phone yet again.
Yeah.
I have to say, going into Sunday's game, I always cite the Arsenal game last season at home in January time, I think it was, where I went to the ground, and it was the first time I'd been to a game at home since before Poch, where I felt I turned up there thinking we're going to lose, because as soon as Poch came, basically, in the big games at home, as I've said before, if we didn't necessarily, we didn't win them all, but you went there feeling like we would be in with a chance and we could compete. And we'd lost that until the beginning of last season, when Ange turned up after the first couple of games. We started going to home games again, thinking we can win today. We might not win, but we got a good chance. Going into Sunday's game, it feels to me like I'm struggling to see how I'm going to turn up on Sunday, being that optimistic.
The injuries,
but the injuries is
100%.
Why. Because after a game like yesterday, where we looked out on our feet at the end, you're thinking, well, if you had, I don't know, I guess Son will start, so he didn't play the whole game.
Son will start, yeah.
The injury, how can he freshen it up? Who? What do we see the starting 11? Who's going to play on Sunday?
I think Porro will play. I think Romero will have to come back in, because it's a foot injury, so you'd hope he may have to rush him back, because he said either this week or next week. I think he might have to rush him back now because of Davies. He'll play Dragoshin, he'll play Doggy, I think he'll play Sarr and Basuma. I think he'll play Kulu, Maddison, Son, and Solanke. Kulu has to play, so it's whether he drops Maddison.
Yeah, well, I mean, he's talked about how he had the luxury, I think, of being able to bring Brennan Johnson on at City. Maybe he wants he would exercise that luxury if he has the chance this time.
I just think they're not great at the back.
Here's what he said about Romero on December the 4th. What day was that? I've lost track. He's due to have his last couple of sessions with the rehab guys today and tomorrow. So we're hoping, in terms of training, potentially back by Friday, at the very latest, early next week, if everything goes to plan. So that That doesn't sound great for Sunday, does it?
Simon Barnes here, Jake, says we have to drop Maddison for Sunday. We need some fighting energy.
Yeah, I
But
think
if you're dropping Maddison, you're probably playing Johnson, and you're not getting fighting energy from Brennan Johnson.
Yeah, but you might get a goal.
Copyright
at the back
Gary
stick.
Diamond.
Yeah, but you might get a goal at the back stick, and quite frankly, we could do with that right now. I think Johnson will start on.
Do you?
I think Johnson will start on the right.
Okay.
I think Johnson has to start on the right. Do you know why?
Why?
Because I think Kulusevski has to start in the middle. That's it. So if Kulusevski's going to start in the middle and Johnson doesn't start on the right, who starts on the right? Nah. So he's been our best player this season, Kulusevski, hasn't he? Really, but playing as an 8.
Think about what Maddison did at City, though.
Yeah.
Is that?
Does he go with the City blueprint?
Is that performance enough to get him a spot? Because he's not been good since.
And it might be a similar game in terms of tactics, where
Exactly.
you have to sort of soak it up a little bit.
Exactly. So
I think also partly why I think there was a small percentage of the reason why he went with it, how he did at City, was he wanted Kulusevski up against, I was going to say Kolarov, that was a few years ago. And he wanted Kulusevski up against Gvardiol. Do you see Cucurella as a similar matchup, or do you think he can maybe see Johnson having more of an impact against Cucurella than he fancied maybe against Gvardiol?
Cucurella would bully Johnson.
Yeah.
We just pull his hair.
Yeah. All this week, people go, you're with VAR now, you can't get away with that. Well, Romero did.
Yeah, true.
Before we close, I'm going to get your predictions. I want to ask you this whole project thing, which you mentioned right at the start.
Just before
Ali.
you ask this question, wasn't that one of the best manager little mini spats you've ever
Conte
seen?
and Klopp.
When he tried to shake, when he shook his hand and he wouldn't let go.
Brilliant.
I've
So
always said to
petty.
people that Thomas Tuchel, he's a bit unhinged.
Whatever happened to him?
Yeah.
Where's he now?
Yeah, I mean, geez. Yeah, the FA, good luck.
You talked about the project, Ali, and you asked me, are you sacking him now? No. And it's, I'll give him time. We had Gary on here a few months ago when I said, what happens if we lose to Coventry? And he said, what if we go and win the next 3? And we did. But what happens if someone made in our comments, if we lose to Rangers, we're in a spot of bother in the Europa League in terms of, we'll get through to the round of 32. But there's every chance we might not lose to Rangers. There's a chance we don't get the buy into the 16. How long is time? If we lose to Chelsea, if we lose to Rangers, you've got that League Cup looming. And it's not like we've sacked a manager before a big league game before or a League Cup game before. Is there a number of losses coming up where you go, do you know what? This just isn't working. Or is it like, boys, just ride it out?
Well, I mean, if you get to the United game having lost 3 in a row.
Or 2 of those 3.
Well, yeah.
I don't think we're not losing to Southampton. You can bookmark that.
Okay, well, let's say 2 of the 3. If you get to that and you go out of the cup, then you'd probably start to
worry.
I mean, my concern is that there were parts of like last night, not the whole game, but there were periods of last night where it looked and felt a bit like the players weren't doing exactly what the manager had told them to do.
What is that?
And what I mean by that is like when managers start to lose the dressing room, the players aren't putting 100% into every action they do to put that plan into action on the pitch. That is when things start to unravel. And there were parts of the game where it felt like that was happening. And if players lose belief in what the manager is telling them to do, that's just like catastrophic and can snowball so badly. Yeah. And so I think if results start to go that way, players will start to lose faith in what's happening. I'm not questioning the sort of motivation of any of the players, anyone individually. I just think like it started to look a bit like that kind of worrying sights. But like I'm not saying that that's happening.
No, but it's interesting that Spence was the one pulling him away. You'd think Spence hates the bloke, but actually Spence is the one over there dragging him away from the fans. I'm not 100% sure he's lost the dressing room yet.
So Spence starts on Sunday.
No, I don't. I'm not saying he has, but I just mean there might be like doubts creeping into some of the players' minds, and if with everyone working together, for teams to be successful, everyone has to work together with full belief that what they are working for is the right thing, is the right way to get success, route to success. And if that starts to flicker at all, problems creep in and it just gets worse and worse and worse. So if you're talking about like how many results it could be, I mean, I said earlier that I think if you go out of all 3 cup competitions, that is it. Yeah. But maybe it is earlier than
Sunday
that.
Might be a marker because Chelsea have the ability to tear you apart. Yeah. And I think if they do, you start to worry, have this lot down tools for this guy.
Yeah.
Sunday's another big game. We were bad yesterday, but I felt until about the 70th minute that we were still in it. It was the horrible feeling we could be at that Chelsea game quite early, but we'll see.
Chelsea tore apart Wolves, who were the worst team in the league, and Southampton last week. They haven't exactly.
Southampton had 10 men in the first half.
Who have they torn apart this season? Oh, they've torn apart Noah and Barrow. I mean, come on, wow. Panathinaikos. Like they haven't. Yeah. I mean, like maybe they're a very good team.
But if they do,
I'm not sure they have. I'm not sure they've torn any. Like,
all right, fine. But if they do,
they've got the ability. You know, like when Spurs
if the stadium collapses, we'll all die.
Spurs high up the pitch with huge gaps at the back. They've got players who can cause a lot of trouble on transitions.
And Nicholas Jackson's very good.
Yeah.
But I think the best comment of the day comes from Billy Four Eyes. Just forfeit the game.
Oh, well, I'm going to assume we're not going to, and I'm going to ask your prediction.
There's still hope. This is the thing. I go into the game with like...
Billy's going to be there pressing the fire alarm in the stadium, empty the stadium out before
listen, people want people to forfeit the game in terms of not turning up. Sorry, you have your thoughts on the chairman. Do your protest outside. Turn your back.
Do you think he means that?
No. I've seen a lot of this movement on Twitter. Turn your back, walk out for 10 minutes if you want. For me, I've paid my money. I'm going to go. I support this team. I want this team to win.
And that's the worst thing when you go to the stadium and you hear people like getting on the players' backs. Like once you're there, just
try everything to get this team to win.
Help. Do nothing but
I do think the players,
help.
You said it as well, I do think the players sometimes need to help us, but we're all in this together.
Yeah.
An empty stadium.
This is a mutually beneficial relationship.
An empty stadium because you don't like that we didn't sign some players in the summer and we haven't won a trophy in 20 years. I don't think that helps anyone. Maybe I'm wrong. I could be wrong here. I look at it differently, but I'm not sure that helps anyone.
You're a Levy stooge, so you would say that.
I'm absolutely not a Levy
But this
stooge.
is why I think sometimes some perspective is needed. It's like, yeah, we're having a bad trot at the moment. For sure, we're having a bad trot at the moment. But my goodness, 10th was where we were at best for most of the 90s when I was growing up and early 2000s.
This is not a reason for it to be right now.
Jacques Santini.
Oh, this is 100%. It's been worse.
Noureddin Naibet, Noé Pamero. Sorry, lads. But come on.
Got a Noé Pamero story if you want it.
Is it clean?
Yeah, he scored a goal. I was in the Everton. He scored a goal at Everton, and I was in the home end, and he scored a header, and I got up and cheered. Just a natural reaction. It didn't go down to.
And then you got pissed on. It's just
Come on, prediction, please.
There have been bad times, and this is a bad time, but it's we're not quite there yet.
Prediction, please.
Predictions for Chelsea.
3-1 Chelsea.
3-2 Chelsea.
God. You're so negative. 2-1 Spurs.
You don't believe that.
No, not on your Nelly. I think
Ronnie, Tottenham 1, Chelsea 5. Behave.
Chelsea
and second half, Ronnie. What do you think?
Chelsea have got more wins at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium
than Spurs.
Than any other visiting team.
Okay,
5 out of 7 they've won.
We beat them in the skip game and
the draw
in the League Cup.
Yeah, they went to pens 1-1.
Don't tell Sky it was only a draw. They give it down as a win. Stats in joke there. What a way to close the show. All right, I feel we've dissected last night and the situation without getting too, doom-mongery.
Exercised.
Yeah. All right, we're back Monday to discuss that 2-1 win against Chelsea, as predicted. I don't know who's in Monday. I think Gary's back, so you'll definitely get some rants off Gary.
Will he be back? Who knows?
Yeah.
You don't know.
Well, I don't. You came in and saved the day today. Thank you, Jake.
There you go.
You weren't rostered. Ali, thank you. Stats Ali, where can we find you?
Opta Analyst, theanalyst.com.
What's next on the stats agenda?
Not sure.
How Spurs broke down Chelsea.
Yeah, I'm going to do a deep dive on why everyone needs to get behind Ange, because this project is worth fighting for.
Okay.
After the win on
Okay.
Sunday.
After the win on Sunday. Excellent.
All right, gentlemen. Dean, thank you. Another great show, lads. Corey, you're right. It was
Dean,
a great
you
show.
can come again.
You can come again, Dean. You can come again too, Jake. I just don't know when because you're not here next week.
I'm not here on Monday next week. No.
Okay.
I'm off to Europe.
You're off to Europe. Where are you going?
Really vague.
He's going interrailing.
That's what Americans say. They're going to Rome, and they just say, "Yeah, I'm going on holiday to Europe."
I just assumed that you guys, knowing that it's like a Champions League week, you'd know what that would. You just knew what that was.
You go to Croatia.
I'm going to Croatia. Dinamo Zagreb against Celtic.
The big one
for my.
Oh, you can talk. Get some perspective from some Celtic fans.
Some of the boys, the Boys. Does anyone know why they're called the Boys?
No, do you?
No.
Find out for us.
I'll ask.
All right, gentlemen. Thank you very much. We've spoken enough. We will see you next week, and up the Spurs.